Okay, so in this section what we are going to do is actually I would prefer to use example of these zones, but the problem is I have just one subnet and a single PC. So what I'm doing is I'm using this particular zone here for demonstrating this particular rule. We are using dynamic NAT and PAT combination. Okay, auto NAT section 2. Fine. So let's create objects for all these. Get back to your ASA console. Show run object. We do not have object for those zones, so let's start creating it. So you create object network, DMZ server 1. Okay, and description SRV1 server 1, and it's a single. Okay, let's not put a single host. You can put, but okay, let's put a single host. What's the subnet there? 192.168.10.100 if I am not wrong. Let's just cross check. Yeah, 192.168.10.100. 192.168.10.100. Okay, this is one object. I create another one, server. Okay, DMZ loopback 1. Loopback 1, and let's say this is subnet 172.16.200, right? If I'm not wrong. Yep. This is one. Do it for 2, and the subnet here is 201. Then let's do it for 3. Another object. Okay, show run objects in line wherever it begins with DMZ. Okay, so 4 of them. Done. Now what you do is you use object group command, and this object group is of type network. Give a name, let's say DMZ zone network object, and start giving the name of these objects. Okay, so start writing the first one, DMZ dash SRVER1. This is first. Second is loop 1, 2 and 3. Yes. We have created an object group called DMZ's dash zone dash group, which further refers to
3 objects.
Okay, next thing, all these objects for all these subnets, what I'm doing is I'm creating show run object inline include, which begins with mapped IP. Do you see the first one, mapped IP? I'm going to use that object. It has 3 IP, 51, 52 and 53. Apart from that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another one, object network. Okay, I would say PAT IP. This is another object. Description for DMZ subnets PAT rules. Mute it. Please keep your phones on silent or vibration mode. You define a single IP, so you use keyword host here. And I will give this as 111 51 52 53, and let's say this is 60. Now we again do the same thing. Group these two objects, pat IP and mapped IP. So create an object group of type network and say NAT-PAT group. Again refer here to those two objects. One is mapped IP pool. This is one of the object. Another object we created just now, which is pat dash okay, recap. Okay, show run of objects inline, and this should include anything that begins with DMZ object. So first we created these 1, 2, 3, 4 objects, single objects for DMZ subnets, which are here. So we created object for 3 plus 1, 4 objects, and I showed you object type of network and object type of host. Then what we did is we grouped these 3 plus 1, 4 objects. We grouped these into another object group. Okay, and that object group we named as show running object group of type network. We named it as DMZ zone group. So this refers to those 4 objects which are here. Done? Then we created 2 more objects, one for mapped IP pool. This contains range of IP. This is a range object. Okay, and then we created another IP which is pat IP, another object, sorry, which is pat IP, which contains a single IP. And lastly we grouped them into another network object group which is called NAT-PAT group, which refers to these 2 objects, one for mapped IP and another one for single pat IP. And now using these 2 object groups, not objects, using object groups, you will write down the rule. Okay, so what I say is NAT. Okay, if the object is coming from DMZ server zone and trying to go to outside, do a dynamic, and the source happens to be from object. So here you have to write down object or object group name. So the object group name was DMZ-zone-G group. Anything from this. Okay, so you need to make sure it says real source. In that case you do what? Define what should be the mapped source address. So mapped source, we have already created an object group, remember, and the object group name is what? NAT-PAT group. Because you have written this statement in the global configuration mode, it's a manual NAT rule which goes to section number 1. Same rule if you use After-Auto keyword, the rule goes to section number 3. Okay, so let's verify this. So if you say show NAT, what do you see? Section 1. It goes to section number 1. Okay, and same NAT rule, if I remove, and for the same NAT rule, if you do a question mark here, use this keyword and write down this same statement. Okay, write down this same statement. Source dynamic DMZ dash zone dash group. This is your real object group, and mapped object group is NAT-PAT show NAT. The rule goes to, it's just this keyword what dictates whether it should go. So your rule for section number 1 and 3 looks same. It's same actually. It's only this keyword what matters. Okay, so I'll just take this off. Okay, let it be this one. Anyway, it will work. Done. Verification part. So what do you do? Yeah, so if you initiate traffic from these portions, okay, so this one gets 1 IP, gets 51 maybe, gets 52, gets 53. Anyone else starts getting patted, so it should use 60 IP. After that, patting starts. Okay, so let's go and verify this portion. So I jump to DMZ server over here, exit, you say telnet to 4.2.2.2, okay, and source is F00. Username is admin, password is Cisco. You are able to go. Do it from loopback 1. Admin, Cisco. Do it to some other IP maybe. This goes from loopback 2. Hope it was 2.2.2.2 and not something else. If it doesn't go, we'll try to 4. I think it's 2. It was something else. If it is not coming up, means it was something else. No worries, let's do it to I think that IP is not there. No worries. And now when you go from the third one, so before I go to the third one, let's verify it from here. Show xlate. I want you to see the first user 10.100 got 52, 200 got 51, and 201 got 53. Look at all are single IPs. And now the third one, so everywhere it's NAT, NAT, NAT. Now look at the third one. Does look like 3. I think we are exhausted all the lines maybe. Yeah. Now you think it will be able to connect? I should see an IP address of 60. This is the last connection from loopback 3, and you get an IP address of 60. This one is PAT. Now it starts using patting. You get the same IP but a different. Do you get this?
So here the command, the interface is not required.
Yeah, you can give.
Okay, so we are giving IP address 1.60, but our IP is 1.1. So how it is getting PAT automatically?
Because I've given that IP, no? 160, 1.60.
1.60 where we give in the second group.
Yes.
Second group where we get paid.
Yes.
So now after that, whatever will come from DMZ server, it will take the IP address same .60 and the port number will be different.
Yes.
Correct, but this IP
After this, whoever comes is one 1.6 for this IP or WAN side, they will have to give a route towards you. That's not your stuff. They have to manage this. They have to configure it for you. Do you get this?
But where exactly we are defining that it should be a PAT?
Exhausted, no? First three.
Whenever you do NATing, okay, and your NATing is your mapped IP is a single IP, it is PAT.
In routing, we mentioned it saying that it's a overloading.
Where?
In router.
Huh?
In router
This is firewall. This is firewall. Here you don't have to.
It will define that it's a PAT.
There is no keyword.
So
When you give a single IP, it means it's patting. When you give a single IP, it is clearly understood that it is patting. You don't have to give IP address. I mean, you don't have to write overload or something like that.
So if a packet comes to the firewall and if
Okay,
my
let me
firewall
let me just pause this. Okay, so this was NAT and PAT combination, right? So next section I'll show you some other ways of writing this. So we have done this through section 2 auto NAT. Now this section we did it through section 1 and section 3. Just put after auto and it will go to section 1 or section 3. But remember what I told you before, you have 3 sections, but always try to put the most precise rule in section, most general rule in section 3. This is more kind of general rule, right? From your DMZ zone you are going to anywhere, or from your internal subnet you are going to anywhere. General rule. Okay, so next section we'll see some of the precise rules like policy based NAT. Okay, so before going to policy based NAT, we'll try to knock out the static translations. Okay, so we'll do static NAT and static PAT, and then we'll go and take dynamic policy based translations, policy based NAT, policy based PAT. Okay, so some later sections when you will see the translation table on your ASA, you would find entries in all the sections. You will find entry in section 1 also, 2 also, and 3 also. Okay, so next section is for static translations.
What will happen if I